It's taking a bit of time. All right, Michael Wickerson here, Wickerson Studios. I am live streaming and I am teaching basically some pretty advanced grasshopper. And you can see here that I have the fourth stable diffusion, GitHub Copilot stable diffusion. What you'll want to do is be able to run a whole bunch of stuff, and I have a whole bunch of past videos on that. I'm not really going to get into it. I've got plenty of past videos. This is about the 18th video in this series, which is NumPy into Grasshopper. So we are simply going to start with that and show how to deal with NumPy and deal with random number generation. And I am currently working on writing and you'll see GitHub Copilot is kicking butt here. So I want to make sure that this actually is reading the last script. I want to start with a hops component and let's see what we produce. NumPy random 1, we'll just call it NumPy random. I will call it NumPy random 1 because I'm sure we're going to have to debug and you have to change the name. So name, nickname, description, inputs, and for anybody who wants to get the files to this stuff, it is basically at www.wickersonstudios.com, and I'll let you take a look there, and then all video tutorials are on here. This is the live stream. I'm not recording this. I don't see any point in doing that, and I want to have my other scripts up and ready. So back to where we were. All right. Inputs will be generated. I'm going to stick with a 4x4 array, so I have to hard code in the rows. I'm going to hard code them in at 4 in Grasshopper. You'll see it over here, but there's no real point. You can extend it for the matrices. You can do your operations over in Visual Studio, and it's not limited to that parameter. You'll see, because with 4 rows, doesn't matter how many columns I put in it, I am going to end my inputs. I'm going to produce my outputs, and I want to produce my outputs that give me a list 0, another list out. You call it arrays or list, doesn't matter, I change from time to time, and that's it. Close your outputs. It's exactly what this does. It's a wonderful way to produce some arrays of data that you can then drive geometries in Grasshopper, and I think this will start making sense to people. We have 3 people watching, which is like triple what I'm used to. And I've been over on Twitch and nobody watches. So let's jump back over to YouTube and see if we can find some people that are interested. So there's your rows as ints, columns as ints. Here, it's going to produce its script right now. Is it what I want? Samples, normal, standard normal, NumPy random normal. I don't want a normal distribution. I want a standard normal distribution. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back into here, backtrack on all of this. And I'm going to want to adjust that and have a standard, hopefully it'll figure out what I want, standard normal distribution. And I'm going to print those samples, which means you'll see it down below, and I will return those samples as 4 different lists. And you have to turn that array back into a list, and then you have to look at the list in different lists and then you have to use the where's an old tool that I haven't used in a while? There it is, bifocus. You have to use the entwine node. So we're up and running. We're going to hit run, and you can see we're already at 2,500 lines of script. If you're interested in this stuff, then you can grab it online. I may do another plug and see if I can get some more people up and running, but we are ready to go. So bring down your hops node, grab your IP address. It's this simple. After you do it a few times, it's actually very simple. Put it in /, call your function. This will be our first nd array. Oops. This will be our first nd array random 1. And we'll do a call to it. And now we can set in our rows hard-coded as 4 and 10 columns, which I think I'm going to drag back. Make sure you take off your cached memory. Periodically uncache the preferences. You get 34 items here. And there you go. You're generating a random 4x4 array, which is pretty amazing. And if you want it in that tree structure, you're going to have to do this. And that's just because it's not working in the Grasshopper canvas, the array to tree is not functioning there. And I wish one day it would, and I wouldn't have to bypass all this. I'd have trees coming out. But if not, it's just a nice control. And there you go. Get your tree of data, your rows, your columns, and you can start processing what you want to do. And you can do your operations back in Visual Studio Code. Nice and simple. Doesn't get easier than that. And we're going to pop this in here, paint it, and we're going to have our call to it here. Call random1 and call random1. There you go. And that's when you open this, you may have to actually set up a new hops node down here. And it's as quick as double clicking, copying the IP address in the call, the function, then getting into the path, typing it in here, running it again. So you may have to, this may get stuck. You may have to do a little bit of hooking up and unhooking, but that's a random, wonderful call, and you get your 4x4, your 3x4, whatever you want. Really nice, fun stuff to start playing around with. So that's it. It's that simple. And I'm just going to do a little plug back over to, let's see what we have next. What we could do is we could do a random seed. So that's exactly what we'll do. We'll just see what it cocks up for us because it's awesome. It's automating all the barring. Run it and explicit seed to make the output deterministic. And so let's run it into a grasshopper script and let's prime it with a hops node. And here we go. Tab and enter. It is, we might want to say random seed this time. And now we've got a random seed function that's being generated, wrapped in that lovely hops component. Middleware Flask is going to send it over. And we are producing rows, columns, and an integer seed, I would think. You might have to prep it, just get it going. Hops, integer. Should know enough to be seed. There you go. Close it up. Do your outputs. Get your list because you got to break it down. You got to break that 4x4 array. And if you wanted it to be larger, you'd have to make it larger. That's it. Outputs. Tab and enter. I have to build a robotic program to hit tab and enter. And now we will generate our seed function. Let's double check it to what I had before. Because I do have one I'm just trying to double check, and that looks like it's going to run it perfect and produce our samples down here. So that's it, and you have to stop the program, you have to save it, Control S, and you have to run it again. And now we're able to jump in here, copy this, and get ready for our next component. We can zoom in, get rid of the random one. We can say that this is a random what do you want to call this one? A random seed generator, seed module, or we'll just call it generator. Just change it up. Words are words. And now we're ready to run. Pull down our lovely hops node, grab our IP address, copy, paste it in, / get the call function labeled, and paste it in, and there you go. You've got your rows, you've got your columns, and you have your awesome seed to go crazy if you actually want to record what seed and want to come back to that exact seed again. Lovely little function. It'll do it for us, and we can bring back our data, and we can actually know what we want to do. Just double click here. YouTube watch live, GitHub using, blah, blah, blah. All right. Let's grab that call name. Okay. Let's give it a title. And let's also alter what's over here. Random seed call and random seed call. And that is it. You're doing very well to generate your random arrays with the ability to go in here and do all your operations within here. It's just people that want to dig a little deeper into having control. So I am going to quickly do a quick add, refresh on LinkedIn. I think we're okay. We'll do a little plug, copy, think we're good. Live on YouTube. Oops. On YouTube. NumPy arrays into grasshopper. All right. Okay. And we should probably change that to live. Live on YouTube. And let's get a little plug-in for the link. And there we go. And that should be enough. If I grab that and we just go over here and do a little plug here as well. That's it. Let's see if we can gather up a couple more people while we're at it. And back into here and back into grasshopper. Okay. And what is our next one? This will be a random NumPy random permutation, which will be nice. Let's see what we can do with that. So I just kind of let GitHub write my app for me. And here we go. We will start with NumPy random number generator functions or methods, doesn't matter the word, and we're going to use permutations. All right, and random sampling. Let's just do permutations to start. We want to wrap that into a ops component. We're going to put in our random permutations, and here we go. Name, nickname, description, inputs, probably be, well, hops integer. Let's do rows. Rows, and we'll do columns, and that's about all we need. We'll stop there. It wanted to generate something different from what I had. The lists out. Got to break that 4x4 because I'm set on just sampling 4x4 arrays. That'll be enough data to drive geometries. I don't want to get anything more than that. You can always customize that within the scripts. That's why I'm giving you the scripts, the apps as well to go into. They'll be pretty extensive. And here we go. We've got our rows and bamf. That is going to multiply. Let's see if I like what the operations it chose to do for me. That's not what I want to do. So I want to arrange 16 in shape. Well, I don't need to hard code it. I can well, you could build a that's one thing I could do is I could build a 16 by 16 and then reshape it. But that just doesn't make sense because I can also make this work. I like the way this is working better with the rows and columns, and we don't need to reshape it in the rows and columns. I guess we said it was a range 16. Well, yeah, we can control that. That's just generating an a range of 16 to control it into the rows and columns. And I don't mind that hard coded into that. That'll be fine. So stop printing. And no point to reshape it if you're just using the same rows and columns. And save and bam. And that was the seed generator. So now I got to get down here and do the permutation. One thing I don't want to do, I don't need it. Every time you erase one bifocal, it erases them all. So you have to put on one new one again to make it work. It's a weird little bug with bifocals, but nobody's ever complained because it was such a wonderful tool and they worked it in the Grasshopper 2.0. That's it. We'll do, what do we call this one? Permutation, random seed. Permutations. Generator. Let's just call it, we already know it's a generator, so random seed permutations. Actually, I don't even think we have a seed in there. So grab our little IP address, call our function. No, I love this. I just love it because then you get a really stacked, nice thing to do something with. So there's your rows, there's your columns, there's your seeds. And there we go. It's done a random permutations of the digits to 16. Really nice. And of course, we could seed that one, or you could just keep sliding this higher and lower, and it'll do another permutation. It's kind of sloppy. It's a little better to what's written down here. And the only thing is you want to take off your cache so you can see what's generated each time. So if we take it off and it's defaulted, then boom, we get a nice random generation there of, what did that do? 1, 2, 3, that's kind of cool. 0, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 0, 1, 2, 3, 0. Okay, pretty cool. I think that's right. 4 by 16, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that should be it. And then it processes here. And those were the initial ones, because that's what's printing in there. It was what was the original shape, and then we've got this permutation happening to it. So, grab our left. As you usually sit with it long enough, it'll make sense. So we're going to grab that one, copy, okay. And we're going to paste. We're going to go here and drop it in there, and the seed. We're going to change over, and there you go. Make a nice little permutation, random permutation numbers. And we can use this all to drive data. This is going to be so repetitive and kind of dull to do this script, but it's nice to see it working. The next one it wants us to do is shuffle, or it did up top, and there's your hops component, and then you just kind of keep going. So before I keep going, I'm just going to take a little break to show you how that was. Only had 3 people watching. Wasn't too exciting. I am generating. I'll try and go live on YouTube when I'm doing this. And we'll just keep hustling. Let's grab this one. Well, we'll just leave it till we come back to it. All right.